You do not stay on her mind by chasing her phone. You stay on her mind by becoming the kind of man she can no longer reach emotionally whenever she wants. That is the part most men miss. They think if they send the right message, she will remember. They think if they explain one more time, she will understand. They think if they check in, say something deep, post something emotional, or a reminder of the good times, they can stay alive inside her mind. But the more you try to stay on her mind, the more you show her that she still owns yours. And that is where a man loses power, because when a woman pulls away, goes cold, ignores you, or acts like the connection no longer matters, something inside you wants to do something immediately. Text her, ask what happened, send a paragraph, apologize again, tell you miss her, check her story, see if she is online, look for proof that she is thinking about you too. But listen carefully. A man who keeps trying to remind a woman of his value is usually the man who has forgotten it himself. That is why the answer is not another text. The answer is not a perfect line. The answer is not a trick to make her obsessed. The answer is presence without pressure, absence without bitterness, and growth without performance, because the goal is not to manipulate her into thinking about you. The goal is to become a man whose energy was so real, so grounded, so rare, and so self respecting that even when you are gone, your absence has weight. That is different. Needy men are remembered with pressure, grounded men are remembered with respect. Needy men leave behind drama. Grounded men leave behind silence that feels clean. Needy men keep texting because they are afraid to disappear. Grounded men step back because they know their value does not need to beg for space in someone's mind. And this is what you need to understand before anything else. You cannot force someone to think about you forever. You cannot control her mind. You cannot control her memories. You cannot control whether she misses you. You cannot control whether she regrets losing you. But you can control the man she remembers. She can remember a man who begged, or she can remember a man who stayed calm. She can remember a man who chased, or she can remember a man who respected himself. She can remember a man who fell apart when she went cold, or she can remember a man who hurt, stayed composed, and walked back into his own life. That choice belongs to you. Because a woman often remembers the way a man reacts when he loses access to her. She remembers if he begged. She remembers if he attacked. She remembers if he insulted her. She remembers if he posted fake happiness just to get a reaction. She remembers if he kept checking. She remembers if he kept reaching out after she chose distance. But she also remembers if he did not fold. She remembers if he stayed calm. She remembers if he gave space without turning cruel. She remembers if he did not become bitter. She remembers if he cared but did not abandon himself. That is the kind of memory that has weight, not because it guarantees she comes back. There are no fake guarantees here, but because it means you stayed a man you can respect. And when a man can respect himself after being hurt, his energy changes. Now, let us talk about the biggest mistake most men make. They confuse being remembered with being available. They think if I stop texting, she will forget me. So they keep showing up. They send a small message, then another, then a reaction to her story, then a casual hope you're okay, then a message pretending to be closure, then a post meant for her, then a question through a mutual friend. And every time they do that, they think they are keeping the connection alive. But what they are really doing is making their absence meaningless. You cannot be missed if you never actually become absent. You cannot be valued if your attention is always easy to get. You cannot be remembered with respect if you keep returning as a man who is afraid to let silence exist. That is a hard truth. If she chose distance, let distance exist. If she wanted space, let space exist. If she pulled away, stop chasing behind her, trying to soften the consequence. If she became cold, stop trying to warm the connection alone. If she treated you like an option, stop giving her priority access. That is not punishment. That is reality. And reality teaches what your paragraphs cannot. Every time you chase after she pulls away, you interrupt reality. Every time you text after she ignores you, you interrupt reality. Every time you send one more emotional message after she made her choice, you interrupt reality. Every time you check in just to keep the door warm, you interrupt reality. Then you wonder why she never feels your absence. Because you never fully became absent. You kept leaving your attention in her life. You kept showing up emotionally. You kept watching. You kept reacting. You kept trying to be remembered instead of becoming a man worth remembering. That is the difference. If you want to stay on her mind without texting her, stop trying to enter her mind, enter your own life again. That sounds simple, but it is the hardest part because when you are heartbroken, your mind becomes addicted to her. You wake up and think about her, you work and think about her, you train and think about her, you sleep late because you are replaying conversations, you check your phone because maybe she finally reached out. You see something that reminds you of her, and suddenly your whole mood changes. That is how you know your attention is trapped, and your attention is your power. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. If your attention is on her silence, your energy feeds pain. If your attention is on her stories, your energy feeds comparison. If your attention is on her possible regret, your energy feeds fantasy. If your attention is on your body, your work, your money, your sleep, your discipline, your faith, and your future, your energy builds power. Take it back. Your body needs you. Your work needs you. Your money needs you. Your sleep needs you. Your discipline needs you. Your future needs you. Stop giving your strongest energy to someone who is giving you uncertainty. That is not hate. That is self respect. Now, here's what makes a man stay in a woman's mind in a healthy way: it is not constant texting, it is emotional weight. A man has emotional weight when his presence feels real. He does not overtalk. He does not overexplain. He does not chase validation. He does not try to make every moment about proving his worth. He listens. He speaks clearly. He has boundaries. He has a life. He has standards. He can care without clinging. He can disagree without attacking. He can walk away without throwing a tantrum. That kind of man is not easy to forget because his energy is not desperate. Desperation is loud in the moment but weak in memory. Dignity is quiet in the moment but powerful in memory. That line matters. Desperation is loud in the moment but weak in memory. Dignity is quiet in the moment but powerful in memory. A woman may not admit it immediately. She may act like she does not care. She may move on. She may distract herself. She may post like nothing happened. She may try to prove she is fine. She may even date someone else. But the way a man handles loss can leave a mark. If he becomes needy, she remembers the pressure. If he becomes bitter, she remembers the bitterness. If he becomes weak, she remembers the collapse. If he becomes silent, disciplined, and self respecting, she remembers the contrast. And contrast is powerful because maybe she expected you to beg. Maybe she expected you to chase. Maybe she expected one lonely night to make you fold. Maybe she expected one soft post from her to pull you back. Maybe she expected you to keep the emotional door open forever. But when you do not, the story changes, not because you are playing games, because the old pattern is dead. That is what stays on her mind, not your message, your change. Now, do not misunderstand this. You are not changing for her reaction. You are changing because the old version of you was too easy to pull into pain. The old version checked. The old version chased. The old version waited. The old version explained too much. The old version made one woman's mood the center of his life. The old version confused anxiety with love, and that version cannot lead your life anymore. If she remembers you, let her remember the man who grew. If she does not remember you, you still become stronger. That is how you win both outcomes. Now, let us talk about the late night text. This is where most men destroy their own mystery. During the day, you tell yourself, I am done. I am not texting her. I know my worth. But then night comes, the room gets quiet, your phone is close, your mind starts replaying the good version of her, the way she used to laugh, the way she used to look at you, the messages she used to send, the way she once made you feel chosen. Then the cold version appears too, the short replies, the silence, the distance, the feeling that you were trying harder than she was. The way you waited for a message like your whole value was sitting inside her phone. And suddenly your mind starts negotiating. Maybe I should say something. Maybe she is waiting. Maybe she thinks I do not care. Maybe if I stay silent too long, she will forget me. Maybe I should just send one small message. But be honest, most of the time, you do not want to text because it is wise. You want to text because the pain is loud. You want relief. You want to reply. You want to know if you still matter. That is not love leading you. That is anxiety looking for medicine. And a message sent from anxiety rarely brings peace. It creates another prison. Now you are waiting again. Now you are checking again. Now her reply controls your night again. If she answers warmly, you get addicted again. If she answers coldly, you crash. If she does not answer, you feel rejected all over again. Do not trade your dignity for a few minutes of relief. A strong man tells himself the truth before he acts. He says, I want to text because I feel anxious. Then he leads himself. He puts the phone down. He walks. He trains. He writes the message in notes, but he does not send it. He prays if faith is part of his life. He sleeps. He lets the emotional wave rise and fall without obeying it. Pain can be felt without being followed. You can miss her and still not text. You can care and still not chase. You can feel rejected and still not beg. You can want answers and still not reopen the wound. That is emotional control. And emotional control is what makes you memorable because most people are controlled by emotion. They react, they panic, they chase, they punish, they post, they beg. A man who does not react from pain becomes rare. He becomes someone whose absence carries weight because his presence was not cheap. Now, if you want to stay on her mind without texting her, become unavailable for the old pattern. That means you do not give full access to confusion. You do not respond to breadcrumbs like they are commitment. You do not keep rewarding mixed signals. You do not stay emotionally open to someone who keeps you emotionally uncertain. If she is unclear, you step back. If she is inconsistent, you stop overinvesting. If she only reaches out when she is lonely, you do not become her emotional backup. If she gives you just enough attention to keep you attached, you do not keep feeding the connection. A man with self-respect does not build his peace on maybe can have space, maybe can have observation, maybe does not get your whole heart. That is how you protect yourself. And that protection is not coldness, it is maturity. Cold says, I do not care, while secretly caring too much. Grounded says, I care, but I am not losing myself. Cold wants revenge, grounded wants truth. Cold performs strength, grounded lives it, be grounded. Now, let us get practical. For the next 7 days, do not message her first from panic. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends about her. Do not post to get her attention. Do not make emotional decisions at night. Do not reread old messages until your chest hurts. Do not send a soft message when what you really want is reassurance. Put that energy into training, work, money, sleep, discipline, faith, emotional control, and rebuilding your identity. Train your body even when your mind is heavy. Clean your room even when your emotions feel messy. Fix your sleep because tired men make weak decisions. Eat properly because heartbreak drains your focus. Walk when the urge to check hits. Sprout what you want to say, but do not send it from panic. Put your phone away before midnight. Build your day before your emotions build it for you. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about proving that her silence does not own you. Every time you do not chase, you rebuild self trust. Every time you do not check, you rebuild control. Every time you do not ask about her, you rebuild dignity. Every time you keep your routine while hurting, you become stronger. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. You said you would not beg. Do not beg. You said you would not chase. Do not chase. You said you would not abandon your standards. Do not abandon them. That is how a man becomes solid, and a solid man stays in memory differently. He is not remembered as the man who kept knocking. He is remembered as the man who finally respected the closed door. Now, here's another truth. If you want to stay on her mind, stop trying to make her jealous. Jealousy is cheap. It may get a reaction, but reaction is not respect. Posting another woman, posting fake happiness, posting quotes meant for her, posting gym pictures only so she sees them, posting your night out only so she wonders who you are with. All of that keeps you emotionally tied to her. You are still performing. And if your growth is a performance, she still controls the stage. Real growth is quieter. Real growth does not ask, will she see this? Real growth asks, will this make my life better? If you train because your body deserves strength. If you make money because your future deserves options. If you build confidence because you are tired of being controlled by rejection. If you fix your sleep, fix it because your mind needs stability. If you become disciplined because the weak version of you is led long enough. That kind of growth has weight. Even if she never sees it, you feel it. And when you feel it, your energy changes. You stop needing attention to feel powerful. You stop needing her reaction to keep going. You stop needing her regret to prove your worth. That is freedom. Now, if she does see you later, she will not see a man trying to impress her. She will see a man who moved differently. That is more powerful because women can feel when a man is performing. They can feel when he is trying to make them jealous. They can feel when his silence is actually a trap. They can feel when his posts are emotional bait. They can feel when his growth is only a costume. Do not wear a costume, become the man. Now, what kind of man stays in her mind? The man who had standards. The man who did not overstay where he was not respected. The man who did not become cruel when hurt. The man who did not beg for attention. The man who gave love but also had a line. The man who could say, I care, but I cannot continue like this. The man who could step back without attacking. The man who left her with peace, not chaos. That matters because when you leave chaos, she may feel relief. But when you leave peace, she may feel the absence. If every conversation became drama, she remembers exhaustion. If every disagreement became begging, she remembers pressure. If every distance became a paragraph, she remembers emotional weight. But if you were calm, clear, honest, and self respecting, your absence feels different. She may not call it that, but she feels the difference between a man who disappeared to punish and a man who stepped back because he had self respect. That kind of absence is clean, and clean absence is powerful. Now, let us talk about what you should not do. Do not send, I hope you are doing well, when what you really mean is, please reply so I can feel okay. Do not send, I just wanted closure, when what you really want is to reopen the door. Do not react to her story just to remind her you exist. Do not ask mutual friends if she misses you. Do not post quotes about loyalty, betrayal, or heartbreak, hoping she connects the dots. Do not make your pain public just to make her feel guilty. Do not try to become cold to seem strong. Do not turn into a man who hates women because one woman hurt you. That is not power. That is pain controlling your personality. A mature man learns the lesson without poisoning his heart. He says, I will not chase confusion again. He does not say, I will never care again. He says, I will protect my peace. He does not say, all women are the same. He says, I will choose better, move slower, and respect myself more. That is growth. Do not let heartbreak make you smaller. Let it make you wiser. Now, if she reaches out later and if your silence has made her curious, this is where your response matters because many men do the hard part, then fail at the easy part. They stay silent. They rebuild a little, they get stronger. Then her name appears on the phone. Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you. Can we talk? And suddenly the old man wakes up. He replies too fast. He writes too much. He asks if she missed him. He tries to force clarity. He pours months of pain into one conversation. He acts like he has been waiting by the phone the whole time. And she feels it. She feels that his silence was not growth, it was waiting. Do not be that man. A small message is not a full return. A hey is not accountability. And I miss you is not change behavior. A late night text is not emotional maturity. A story view is not love. A woman touching the door is not the same as a woman walking through it with clarity. If she says, hey, you can say, hey, hope you're doing well. That is enough. If she says, I miss you, you can say, I hear you. What made you reach out? If she says, I've been thinking about us, you can say, I understand. What do you want to do with that? If she says, can we talk? You can say, we can talk, but I am not rushing back into anything. These are not games, they are calm boundaries. They show openness without desperation. They invite clarity without begging. They protect your peace without attacking her. A real return can handle patience. A fake return usually cannot. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will respect your pace. If she only wants emotional access, she may disappear when she realizes you are not easy anymore. Let that happen. You need truth more than temporary comfort. Because temporary comfort can pull you back into the same cycle that broke you. Truth sets you free. Now, if she says, you changed, do not defend yourself for an hour, you can say, I had to. The old version of me kept losing himself. If she says, you do not care anymore, you can say, I care, but I am not chasing confusion anymore. If she says, why are you acting distant? You can say, I am being more careful with my peace. That is enough. A man with self respect does not over explain his boundaries. He states them calmly and watches behavior because behavior gives information. If she respects your boundary, that is information. If she mocks it, that is information. If she takes accountability, that is information. If she only wants access without responsibility, that is information. Do not fear information. Fear ignoring it because fantasy feels better. Now, if she comes back with real accountability, do not punish her. Some men finally get her attention back and become arrogant. They act cold. They say, now you want me? They try to make her feel small because she hurt them. That is not strength, that is pain pretending to be power. A strong man does not need revenge to feel masculine. If she comes with clarity, listen. If she comes with humility, observe. If she comes with consistent effort, allow trust to build slowly. But do not rush. Forgiveness can happen in a moment. Trust takes time. Do not confuse the two. If she apologizes, receive it calmly but watch behavior. If she says she misses you, hear it but watch consistency. If she wants to talk, talk, but do not throw away your peace. That is how a mature man moves. Now, if she comes back with confusion, step back. If she says, I miss you, but I do not know what I want, do not become her emotional waiting room. If she says, I care, but I am not ready, do not give full access to uncertainty. If she reaches out at night but disappears in the morning, do not chase. If she wants comfort without responsibility, step back. A man with self respect does not build his peace on maybe can have space. Maybe can have observation, maybe does not get your whole heart. That is how you protect yourself. Now, if she never reaches out, you still win if you become the man this process is creating. This is the part most men do not want to hear because they want her mind to be the destination. They want to be remembered. They want her to miss them. They want the message. They want the proof that silence worked. But the highest proof is not her return. The highest proof is your peace. Can you sleep without her reply? Can you train without needing her to notice? Can you work without checking your phone every 10 minutes? Can you stop asking about her? Can you feel sadness without turning it into begging? Can you remember her without reopening the wound? Can you love deeply without losing your frame? That is success because a man who can do that is no longer easy to break. He is harder to manipulate, harder to pull into chaos, harder to make insecure, harder to treat like an option, harder to replace with temporary attention. That man is attractive because he is not desperate for attraction. He has direction. And direction is one of the strongest things a man can have. A man with direction does not orbit around a woman's uncertainty. He has things to build, he has a body to strengthen, he has money to earn, he has skills to sharpen, he has faith to deepen, he has standards to protect. He has a future that does not pause because one person became unclear. That is real masculine power, not forcing her to miss you, not trying to live in her mind forever, not playing games. Becoming the man who no longer has to beg anyone to remember his worth. Now ask yourself the question that cuts through the fantasy. Do you want to stay on her mind because she is good for your peace? Or do you want to stay on her mind because being remembered would heal the wound of rejection? Do you want a healthy relationship? Or do you want proof that you mattered? Do you miss her character? Or do you miss the version of yourself you felt like when she wanted you? These questions matter because sometimes a man does not want the woman back. He wants his ego repaired. He wants the rejection reversed. He wants to know she still thinks about him so he can finally feel powerful again. But that is not healing. That is still being controlled by the wound. Real healing is when you no longer need to live in her mind to respect yourself. Real healing is when you no longer need her regret to feel valuable. Real healing is when you can say, if she remembers me, let her remember me well. If she does not, I still have a life to build. That is freedom. And freedom is stronger than being remembered. Because what good is being on her mind if she still owns yours? What good is her missing you if you are still not at peace? What good is her regret if you are still living for her reaction? That is not power. Power is when your life belongs to you again. Now, tonight, when your mind tells you to check if she is thinking about you, do not check. When your ego wants proof that she misses you, do not search for proof. When your heart wants to send one small message, do not send from panic. When loneliness tells you to reopen a door that hurt you, breathe, put the phone down, stand up, drink water, walk, train, pray, work softly, build. Do one thing that makes tomorrow better because discipline is how a man tells heartbreak, you can hurt me, but you cannot lead me. That is the man she will remember if she remembers anyone. Not the man who begged, not the man who folded. Not the man who kept texting because he was afraid to be forgotten. The man who hurt but stayed composed. The man who cared but did not abandon himself. The man who wanted her but did not make her memory the measure of his worth. The man who turned silence into strength, pain into standards, and absence into direction. That man is hard to manipulate. That man is hard to replace. That man is free. So remember this, you do not stay on her mind forever by texting her. You stay in memory by becoming a man with dignity, a man who does not chase, a man who does not beg, a man who does not perform, a man who does not use silence as a game, a man who loves with boundaries, a man who steps back with respect, a man who rebuilds without needing an audience, a man who lets his actions speak louder than his pain. And if she thinks about you later, let her think about the man who did not lose himself. If she reaches out later, meet it with calm, not hunger. If she never reaches out, keep building, because the deepest truth is this: the goal is not to stay on her mind forever. The goal is to become so grounded that you no longer need to live in anyone's mind to feel valuable. And in the next video, you will learn the quiet signs your absence is finally being felt, and how to respond without becoming needy, desperate, or easy to pull back into the same old pain.